Okay, where are we at? Well, San Mateo County. Judges complained to sheriff about poor security in the courthouse. Bailiffs falling asleep. Murder suspects left unattended with no shackles. Also, it's nice out today. The doors and the windows are open. The dogs are in and out. You might hear them barking. You might hear that laundry going back there. Again, if you have a problem with that, you can go somewhere else. We're going to go to reader mode so the ads will stop. Two San Mateo County judges say a man charged with murder wandered the back hallways of the courthouse without his leg shackles. They say jurors complained that the bailiffs were distracted in court cases playing on their phones, and in one case the bailiff fell asleep. I can say I have seen both of these firsthand. Judges Stephanie Gareth and Elizabeth Lee said in an email to Sheriff Christina Corpus that they had seen frequent lapses in security protocol by deputies who transport inmates from jail to the courthouses over the last year. Judge's email dated December 13th was obtained by the Daily Post through a California Public Records Act request through San Mateo County. The sheriff's office provides bailiffs for the courtrooms and deputies to take inmates between the jail and courtrooms. The continued shortage of transportation deputies who are available to staff this critical unit and who are adequately trained in safety protocols continue to plague the unit. This is an inherent problem that appears to be getting worse rather than better. To say we are concerned is an understatement, the judge's email said. The sheriff's office didn't provide a response to each allegation raised by the judges, but sheriff spokeswoman Gretchen Spiker said, in general, the sheriff's office will not compromise on the quality of hires and the level of services we provide to our communities. Really? Murder suspects are unshackled. The judges highlighted 5 incidents in their email to Corpus, including when a murder suspect was allowed to wander the back hall where judges and court employees have offices. The suspect was not shackled and was in everyday clothes, Lee and Gareth said. The judges said court employees could have easily mistaken him for an attorney or member of the public. Was he dressed like an attorney, or do attorneys just dress like, I don't know. It is absolutely unacceptable that a defendant, particularly a homicide defendant, is allowed to walk around judges and staffs unrestrained, the judges said. Corpus, in her response to the judges, said she called for an emergency meeting to address their concerns and said she has been working to fill the 100 vacancies she inherited when she became sheriff in January 2023. Corpus said she only had 36 vacancies in December. Worth the risk. Filling positions is great, but if they are being filled with the quality of personnel we've seen recently, then it's not worth the risk, Gareth said. The judges also brought up concerns about a December 2nd alleged, you know how YouTube is, assault between a male and female inmate while they were being taken from the jail to the courthouse. We never had these problems of this magnitude until this past year, Gareth said. It appears to be the quality of hires and the lack of training that are causing issues. There's no accountability. There hasn't been accountability in over a decade, so why they get all the training. They're never held accountable for their actions, so why should it change? And let's just let them all take cell phones and shit in there. Shortages. Employee shortages in the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office placed the department at a critical juncture in which employees' workload and schedule cannot be safely sustained, said a June report from a consultant, Miller Alphabet Public Safety. The consultant noted that police and sheriff departments across the U.S. are experiencing staffing shortages. The report also said the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office has been making a concerted effort to fill vacancies since 2023. Members of the Deputies Union raised alarm bells on October 9th when they said the Sheriff's Office was pulling deputies from street patrols staff to court. Some within the department said they felt their concerns were falling on deaf ears and the sheriff's staffing is dangerously thin. Deputies fell asleep. Another incident the judges bring up is where a transportation deputy fell asleep during a murder hearing and the other deputy who was in training was nodding off. Both these deputies were scolded by another deputy. Ooh, they were scolded. Having a deputy carrying a weapon and taking medicine that makes him fall asleep while transporting a homicide defendant is unbelievable, Gareth said. Corpus said that two of the deputies involved in the incidents had recently transferred from other local sheriff's office with court experience. Court experience of playing on their phones and falling asleep and taking a bunch of medicine, apparently. A manager of court reporters, the people who create written records of court hearings, was walking down the hallways behind courtrooms and saw that a transportation deputy left a shackled defendant in the hallway unattended for quite some time, the judges said. The judges point out that near those hallways are multiple judges' chambers, and the defendant could have shuffled into one of those rooms. A judge told Lee and Gareth that his jury had complained that the bailiff and deputies in the courtroom during the trial were constantly using their phones and looking like they were playing games or doing internet searches. Probably were. Internet searches on another damn job. Court spokesman Dan Radovich declined to comment when asked about court security. The release of the emails comes as Corpus and her critics campaign for Measure A, which is aimed at ousting the sheriff before her term is up in 2028. A report by retired Judge Lodoris Cordell found that Corpus had engaged in nepotism, abuse of power, retaliation, intimidation, racism, homophobia, and conflicts of interest. Ballots for Measure A are due March 4th. Okay, so that's where we're at. That's these ones, and let's go to this one. More San Mateo County Sheriff drama. Deputies accused of sleeping on the job, allowing behind their back. Again, breeder mode. There's more soap opera developments with the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office, with two court judges sending a letter that deputies are sleeping or playing on their phones while watching prisoners and while they weren't looking. There's been non-stop parade of bizarre developments in the San Mateo County Sheriff's Office since that stunning November day when the court's Board of Supervisors released a report alleging that Sheriff Christina Corpus had hired her boyfriend to a high-level position and given him pay raises with fudge documentation, as well as using the N-word and homophobic slurs in the workplace. On that same crazy day, Corpus had the Chief of Deputies Union arrested for felony grand theft charges. The grand theft charges ended up being alleged time card fraud, and a judge tossed out the charges, finding them flimsy. The plot has only gotten nuttier since Corpus' alleged boyfriend has been accused of moonlighting as a real estate agent while on the sheriff's office payroll, and also accused of concealing rifles in the workplace. For her part, Corpus has sued the county for $10 million over making these allegations. Oh, and just today, the Bay Area News Group had the news that the FBI is investigating Corpus' office. All of this has led the court supervisor to set up a March 4, 2025 special election to remove Corpus from office. The election is in just 19 days. So it may be more dirty tricks, or it may be a shocking revelation of neglect that a new KGO investigation found that two San Mateo County judges sent Corpus a letter complaining that deputies were sleeping on the job or goofing off on their phones while they were supposed to be monitoring murder defendants in the courtroom. The letter also alleges that a plainclothes murder defendant was allowed to wander unhandcuffed in the judge's chambers, and most shockingly that a woman prisoner was left unmonitored and was left unmonitored with 3 male prisoners long enough for her to be twice. These developments were actually originally reported 6 days ago by Palo Alto Online, which also obtained a letter from Judges Stephanie Gareth and Elizabeth Lee. This is an inherent problem that appears to be getting worse rather than better, the letter says. To say we are concerned is an understatement. Yet this week's report comes from KGO, which gave Corpus a fairly sympathetic interview with all this controversy blew up. This interview was tough for Corpus, when the KGOI team's Dan Knowles pressed Corpus on the deputy who allowed the incident behind his back, Corpus said, "We did release him immediately because of the egregious of, his lapse of judgment." But the two separate letters from two separate judges were also considered unusual. Knowles asked San Mateo County District Attorney Steve Wagstaff if he'd ever seen even one such letter before. Wagstaff said, "I've been here 50 years and this is the first time I've ever heard of it. As far as the snoozing or mobile phone game playing deputies are concerned, Corpus told KGO, "I took immediate action and went back to the lieutenant and the captain to work directly with the judge. Open lines of communication so there are no lapses." Knowles also checked the Deputy Sheriff's Association for comment, but a representative told him they don't want to get involved in this. Not worth it. That's not surprising. The Deputies Union absolutely hates Christina Corpus ever since she, had the union president arrested. Yes. And the comment to their comment will be, as usual, no comment. So, the first one was January 7th. The second one was if these ads would stop, we would have a date. February 13th. So, let's go down here. Let's see what this says. Now, I have it queued up past, but you know how that goes.
New at 6 from the ABC 7 News I-Team, San Mateo County Superior Court judges are raising concerns about their personal safety after several incidents of deputies who should be watching potentially dangerous criminals, of course, falling asleep or otherwise failing to do their jobs.
Yeah, the I-Team has obtained correspondence between the judges and the sheriff who oversees the court deputies. Dan Noyes is here with the story tonight. Dan.
Well, Dan, it gets worse. A deputy makes the mistake of escorting a female inmate with 3 males and turns his back while she is sexually assaulted in an elevator. The sharp exchange of letters and emails between presiding Judge Stephanie Garrett, Judge Elizabeth Lee, and Sheriff Christina Corpus from December is now coming to light after a public records request. The judges expressed concern for frequent lapses in security protocols, causing the potential for serious harm to other judges, court staff, attorneys, litigants, and the public. The judges declined my request for an interview, but I spoke with longtime District Attorney Steve Wagstaff. How unusual is that for a presiding judge and then the judge actually to send a letter to the sheriff over concerns for deputies?
I've been here 50 years. It's the first time I ever heard of it.
The judges list several instances of armed deputies falling asleep in court when they were supposed to be monitoring murder defendants. Jurors complaining the bailiffs were on their phones playing games and doing internet searches during trial. An unshackled murder defendant in plain clothes allowed to wander the back hallway near the judge's chambers.
Somebody charged with homicide, unshackled, wandering around in the back. That's a major cause for concern.
The most shocking of all, a deputy ignoring protocol, escorting 3 male inmates and a female back to jail from court. The judges said he kept his back turned long enough for the woman to be raped twice in an elevator.
That deputy was horrible in what he failed to do.
We did release him immediately because of the egregiousness of, his lapse in judgment.
Christina Corpus says she's been beefing up court staff, hired 182 sworn employees in the past 2 years, many of them from other police and sheriff's departments, and that she responded quickly to the judge's letter by ordering new training.
I took immediate action and, went back to the lieutenant and the captain to work directly with the judge, open the lines of communication so there's no lapses.
I wanted to get the union's response to these issues, so I stopped by the Deputy Sheriff's Association offices for an interview, but a spokesperson told me it's not going to happen. Sorry, they don't want to get involved in this. Not worth it. The union has been funding the Vote for Measure A campaign that would allow the Board of Supervisors to fire the sheriff. Judge Garrett placed responsibility for the courthouse problems with Christina Corpus, writing, "We never had these problems of this magnitude until this past year."
I've worked in this office for 25 years, so I know when it's good and I know when it's bad. And so we have had bouts of different circumstances where our staffing levels are high or they're low. And so for it to be attributed just to me and my tenure, I don't think was, I don't think that was a very fair statement.
Sheriff Corpus has filed for an injunction to stop the special election on Measure A. The hearing now exactly 2 weeks away, so we'll be watching.
Yeah,
for sure.
of course. Thank you so much, Dan.
New at 6 from the
Thank you, Dan. Anyway, playing on their phones, falling asleep, not paying attention to the prisoners that they are in charge of, enough that a bunch of assaults are taking place. Anyway, again, this is where we're at with law enforcement in 2025. Let me know what you think about this shit show in the comments. Like and share. Also, again, 90% of people that watch these videos are not subscribed to the channel. Again, you are right there at your computer. You got your phone in your hand. All you gotta do is hit the button. Let me know what you think, and I'm out.